Hello, everyone. This is Under the Mayo. Welcome to another episode of Profiles in Gaming Enthusiasm, and I'm joined by my very special guest today, Mr. Aquaman. How are you doing?
What's going on, Mayo? Thanks for having me on.
It's great to have you here. For those who do not know what you do for the NRS fighting game community, what's your role in everything? What do you do?
Oh man, I'm like Gandalf. I just kind of exist and I wander, do my thing, and try to make it a better place, man. In the grand scheme of things, I host events. I work behind the scenes for events. I commentate. I like to compete, stream. I kind of try to do it all, man, and do my best to try to grow the space is the best way I can describe what I do, because it is pretty complicated and all over the place.
Yeah, well, you said that your goal is to make it a better place, and I think you do that because for anyone who's watched fighting game tournaments, if you've watched enough fighting game tournaments and seen the commentators, a lot of commentators are kind of performative or they're faking it. And every time I see you, I think one of my favorite things about you is that you're sincere, man. You are hype all the time. Like you don't fake it, and you're into what you do, and I think that makes you a really good commentator.
Well, thank you. I think the passion kind of comes out in my commentary, and it really surprised me because I had zero aspirations to be a commentator at all. I just fell into it, and then it kind of happened, which is pretty crazy.
Well, that was one of my questions. I wanted to ask, how did you get your start in? We'll go back to your early gaming and all that kind of stuff, but
Yeah.
how did you get into commentating? What was the first gig you got, and what would you say is the first big event that you commentated where you're there and you're like, "Holy shit, I'm commenting this. I'm commentating this event. This is awesome."
Oh, so there were kind of three phases. There was, well, maybe a couple of more, but the my first introduction to commentary was at a very casual level. It was at Biggie events back in MK. I'd say Injustice One is when I first hopped on the mic.
Right.
At a Biggie event, Combat Network was streaming. Look over at the stream station, no one's on the mic, and there's shock in the background going, "Hey, does anyone want to commentate?" And I'm just the guy standing there going, "Hey, you know what? We'll give her a try, you know." And it was really casual back then. I don't know if you remember commentary back in like 2011, or sorry, more 2012, 13.
I do.
More,
I
more
watched.
2013.
I watched it
And
all. I remember, man. Like I didn't.
you-
I didn't play
I,
Injustice that much, but I watched every single Injustice tournament. So I
I
know.
feel like, yeah, it was very grassroots, is I guess the way I can put it. You know, no, not a lot of people did commentary for any sort of compensation or anything else. It was just because it was there, and everyone that hopped on, wasn't there to commentate. They were there for something else, and so you could feel something different on the microphone. It was very interactive with the people that were there, with the chat. And oddly enough, to this day, I still, like, with the Coliseum and with a lot of other big tournaments that I've personally run, have tried to still have that sense of grassroots, like, involvement of the chat, because I feel like it's a really big part of, I don't know, the experience of not just bringing everyone there together, but everyone watching at home
You try to kind of keep an
together as
open
well.
mic feel to it to like let people
Yeah.
come in and just chat.
For sure, or to like touch on something that the chat may be touching on, or honestly to just get a feel for the energy and to try to match it. But that's a whole nother rabbit hole I can go down for probably eons. But that's where it all kind of started, was at those events and being at the right place at the right time for someone to go, "Hey, do you want to jump on the mic?" Like, I'll jump on the mic and sound like an idiot for a while. And that's exactly what I did. I go back then, and it's absolutely horrendous when I look back on my own commentary. And one of the first big events I did was a Team Spooky top 8, and Team Spooky was the shit back
Yeah.
then. Can I curse on here?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Team Spooky was like, if you were on Team Spooky, you were Hollywood.
That was the
as
big
fuck.
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
for anyone listening who doesn't know, like back in early 2010s and before that, like Team Spooky, like if you were watching a big fighting game tournament with a bunch of different titles, at the end of the night when you're on like the Street Fighter Top 8 finals, it's on the Team Spooky channel, right? They covered the ones that had 100,000 people watching the stream, and then
Exactly.
a whole bunch of other people were streaming other titles throughout the weekend. But at the end of the day, Team Spooky does the big stuff,
and well deserved, because he's
Yeah.
a pioneer of the industry, especially in the FGC. I think he kind of wrote the blueprint on those early productions, so shout outs to him on that. And Mayo, I kid you not, when I first did my first top 8 on Spooky's channel on commentary, it was with Darth Arma in Injustice 1.
Yeah.
And it's still to this day, only because another video doesn't exist. But there is a video on YouTube called The Worst Commentary of All Time in the NRS Community, and that was number 1.
Oh, man. Of you and Darth Arma together?
Yeah, it was me. It was primarily my performance during that top 8, but in a really fun way. And that is part of why I've kind of lasted so long, is because I can take criticism really well. You kind of need it when you're on the microphone and it's your face everyone's seeing and your voice everyone's hearing. You take a blunt, or the brunt, I don't know what the right word is there, of all of the negativity online when it's on your shoulders to kind of craft that story. And from there, I would do it from time to time, and then I started a series with a company. After I did some big offline tournaments of my own, I caught the interest of a streaming platform that brought me on to do a long Mortal Kombat series called Kombat Cup,
Right.
which ended up being really big in the community, which was lovely. And I only commentated that because it was cheaper for me to, at the time, help run it, produce it, and commentate it, which is where I really got good at doing what I do now. Being able to be on every spectrum of a live tournament stream was really cool. But that's where I really crafted my commentary, and people started to enjoy it because I did it so long. I was commentating upwards of 30 hours a week, and
Wow.
That's unheard of for a commentator. And to this day, I think even in the past year or two, I still commentate more than every other commentator in the fighting game community, which is really weird to reflect on. But it's part of, I think, my success as a commentator has just been being so comfortable on the mic because of the time I put in. Mm-hmm.
I had no idea that you did it that much, because I've kind of fallen out of watching fighting game stuff. Like I kind of retired from Mortal Kombat back like, I don't know, about 2 years ago, and here and there I'll tune in, but we're also in a pandemic, right?
Yeah.
And my favorite thing to do is it used to be lock myself in my room for 3 days, Friday to Sunday, and watch the 800-man tournaments of all the different games and put on multiple streams and just pig out in my room and have fun. And but there's no live events now, and it's also like, it's so great that what you guys are doing with the online tournaments, right? But I don't follow it like I would follow, like, oh, when's final round coming up? When's Evo coming? When's Frosty Faustings? But if I see it's on, I'm like, oh, cool, I'll watch it and I have a good time. But man, I mean, you much more than me, you've got to be starving to get back to real. I mean, I know I don't want to say real tournaments, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah. Offline. And offline is where our community was born and bred, and where it should continue to thrive. There's so much we can talk about that too. Because just looking at the community, our community needs it. It's on a downward spiral of negativity, toxic hellhole. Ness. And
because everything's online, is that or?
Well, I think it's the fact that everything is online that we haven't had offlines, because I am really blessed to be able to say that I got to go to a few offlines during the time of COVID. WePlay had me out to Ukraine twice.
Yeah, that was a great event.
And then I went to a local here in Texas not too long ago. Okay. And let me tell you, it instantaneously was night and day, the most positive things I've ever been a part of, and the most euphoric things I've ever been a part of. Just the energy in the room is unmatched, and the fact that there was zero negativity, none of that Twitter bullshit, none of that
Yeah.
high school drama bullshit. It was just us there enjoying the games and enjoying each other's company. And that was a huge wake up call even for me because, after a year of online, you really kind of see that that's the kind of glue that I think holds us together a little bit and that's what got me into the community was going to my first event and going to my second one and going, holy shit, it feels like a family reunion. So and so, hey.
Yeah.
And recapturing those moments was absolutely beautiful. But these online tournaments, you're right, they are really good to kind of bring a sense of that during these times. And I still feel like is an important part of the community moving forward when offlines do come back, because it will. Why I love online tournaments, Mayo, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. A few things. They're cheaper to run. Way cheap.
All right,
Astronomically cheaper. Astronomically. Oh boy. And it's a free way to get someone new into the community.
Yeah. Some of the
Offline
best
tournaments cost a lot of money.
offline players have come from, successful online play. I mean, I think back to Kerbalicious, right?
Yes.
He was an online player that, he's great. And then, but we were like, yeah, but he's just online. And then he came to, what was it? It was MLG.
Oh.
It wasn't an MLG. He showed up with his Johnny Cage.
Yeah.
And then he just wrecked everybody.
Wrecked everyone, and Trevor King did kind of the same thing back in MK9 days. Everyone was like, "Oh, he's number one on the Xbox leaderboard. Who cares?" And then he comes out and he almost won his first major tournament, but he lost to I think M2 Dave in the grand finals. It was really close. And yeah, you're right. And there's been a pattern since then with a lot of our top players. I mean, look at Rewind nowadays, Tweety. All of those guys were born and bred.
Ninja Killer too, right?
Yeah. All of them born and bred. Ninja Killer is a he's what's the word? He's an anomaly. That one. He's just naturally ridiculous.
Yep.
Is Ninja Killer, but a lot of these guys started out in like long online series, being able to literally test their might against the best in the world, and then take it to offline, and they're some of the best players on planet Earth right now. So kind of a recipe for success, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, it's online. Yeah, sure. There's a difference, of course. You can't do certain things. You can't react to certain things, but you still are expressing your matchup knowledge, and that's one of the most important things that you can take to a tournament. Is just knowing the matchup.
And something that happens every single week, you get X amount of matchups. You get a little bit of tournament pressure because I competed in the ESL Pro Leagues, and I had been playing for almost 5 years at that time. And I thought that I was over tournament pressure, and it was my first online tournament. I'm in my boxers at my house. I'm just chilling and play my first opponent, and I am drenched with sweat. My hands are shaking. It was it was such a different environment competing in an online setting. And I think that giving those players that little bit of experience, with pressure, with that, really sets them up well for offline. So I think that when offlines do come back, there is room for both, and that they can definitely play off each other in a positive manner.
I can't wait, man. I mean, I haven't played fighting games in a while, but if there was a major tournament or even a local, like I would just be dying to go out there and play. I'm not even the best tournament player. I get those nerves. I'm a very mashy player. Like when I'm stressed, I press the button harder and until I'm squeezing the controller. I don't know if you do that, but I'm sure that some people do.
The angrier I get, the more down ones I'm hashing around.
Oh yeah. And
That's exactly
in every tournament, man, what gets me killed is trying to press back or forward and accidentally jumping. Because, I hit it a little too hard and it goes diagonal and I end up jumping and then I get anti-air or something like that. Jumping when I don't want to jump, getting a special when I didn't mean to do a special, that stuff gets me all the time because I'm so mashy with my fingers.
I get that issue on pad a lot because I have tremendously large hands and the pad is only but so big, and I fat finger so many inputs on the D-pad just because my thumb pressing it hits so many different places sometimes that's really hard to ignore. But that's also an option select. So if you're listening to this,
yes,
You can only say that so many times before it.
You can only say that so many times.
You can only say that so many times, as it turns out.
Yeah. I didn't quite get an answer from you. What was the, or maybe I did and I missed it. What was the first tournament that you commentated where you were like, wow, this is a big deal?
Ooh, so long after, or a decent time after I started doing a lot of those online tournaments, a lot of people started talking about me on, to do commentary, and a spot opens up on the Injustice Pro Tour, and got the invite, and it was really late in the tour. It was for the last event of the whole season, and it was my first official event. It was East Coast Throwdown, but that wasn't the big one. It was right after ECT when I did my very first pro series event. Was the Injustice one. They invited me to season 1. I think was in Hollywood. The Injustice Pro Series finale, season 1, which was like $150,000 on the line. Every big killer on the planet. The broadcast was going to be on Twitch and ESPN. And that's when I knew that event right there was showing up to that event and going, oh shit.
What year was that?
That was 2000. Oh no. Hold on a second. I got this. 2017?
Okay.
May have been 2018. And since then, I've luckily been able to be a part of all of the pro competitions that have kind of happened since then, which is really cool.
Do you see yourself eventually doing a top 8 at EVO?
I have done a few top 8s.
Have you? Okay, see, I haven't kept up entirely with the trajectory of your career over the years. I didn't know that you had done, because I know Ketchup and Mustard have done them.
Yes,
like
they
Ultra
have.
David, and I didn't know if you had done one or not.
I believe I have 1 or 2 under my belt. And one top 8 was really fun, where they had the twins on the Twitch microphones, and they had me and KP and Arma. We had the in-house microphones talking to the actual crowd, which is really cool. But yeah, I've gotten to be a part of almost every major event that the fighting game community puts out, which is I'm just really humbled to have been a part of it all in that regard. And then We Play taking it over the top last year was insane and unfortunate at the same time. That as of right now, we're not going to get any more of that. But those highly produced events are an absolute blast to be a part of. Even from a production standpoint, the challenges and the energy of those events, because it's a lot of pressure. And being on TV a couple of times is an even different pressure. Mayo, I did live TV one time, and I nearly shit my pants the entire time.
Oh yeah, it's got to be a whole other kind of pressure.
Could not believe it. There's someone yelling in your ear that, okay, commercial in 3, 2, while you have to finish up your thought on Sonic Fox's introduction onto the arena, and then you have to segue into this thing. And funny enough, I know this is a side tangent, but it's just a funny story. Me and Ultra David did that one time for, I think we were on Disney, and we were doing rehearsal for it, so we had to practice going to commercial, practice coming back from commercial, practice introducing or introducing every player, kind of every aspect of the show, and then getting a feel for the timing of things. Fucked every single one of them up beyond belief. I could. What was crazy is, like, I botched every single thing terribly, and the producer, the guy that's like running the television show, is like, oh no, it's cool, man, you're doing fine. Like he's like, oh, it's gonna be perfect live, and I was like, dude, you're lying to my ass. That was terrible. But sure enough, when we go live, hit everything almost perfectly. It was the weirdest thing.
Oh, that's great. Are there any clips of that, or maybe I can put a link to how you were doing that?
For the rehearsal, not really, and for the broadcast itself, I know my parents TiVo'd it back in the day, but other than that, I don't think that it's on anywhere.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, unless it's on the NRS Esports or Mortal Kombat, or sorry, Injustice 2 Twitter. YouTube? Somewhere out there in the world is probably that event, but the Injustice Pro Series Season 1 finale, if you can find that one was it.
Okay. What's as you're continuing these online events and kind of keeping the community inspired and looking forward to stuff, what's been the biggest obstacles you've had to overcome or problems you've had to figure out along the way over this year and a half of trying to get this thing going?
Ooh, this past year's been the most challenging. And it goes back to what I was first talking about, the community as a whole, and kind of the current state of the competitive community. And that's been the hardest thing to kind of work with, has been figuring out what the best show would be, and what the best game would be, what people are enjoying. And that's just some of the bacon bits on top of a larger salad. That is what I enjoy doing, with the Coliseum. The Coliseum is just a passion project of mine and a couple buddies of mine that aren't even from the community. They're just some production buddies I have that used to help run some of those older online series, and we just wanted to keep doing it. And it's where I have a whole journal of ideas for tournaments, and that's where I get to kind of go crazy with them. And one of the biggest challenges has been getting the community's involvement in it, because not a lot of people are enjoying MK11 right now. Not a lot of people are enjoying competing right now. I feel like everyone is depressed.
True.
When I log into Twitter, everyone's freaking, and when I think I'm going through it, I always remember that, it feels like everyone's going through it. So if you're going through it out there, everyone's going through it, and we're not alone out here.
Yeah.
And it's, speaking to the MK9 event, and Injustice 1 was in there, every NetherRealm competitive title since MK9 was the last series I did. That rejuvenated some stuff for me too, Mayo, and
it was great.
that was one thing I needed, because I wanted to do something that I wanted to do. Personally, and this might be a little bit of a hot take, but I was most excited for Injustice 1 myself. That is my, that's like my personal favorite game to go back to. Is Injustice 1.
You mean, playing or commentating?
Both.
Okay.
Everything. I loved just watching people play that game, because that was the time in the community where I had the most fun, and I felt that the community was in a really good place, because if you remember, like, even just watching Injustice 1, there was so much rivalries going on, a lot of regional pride.
Yes.
And that's the kind of stuff there was weeklies. Injustice 1 was the last time there was consistent weeklies throughout the entire game's lifespan.
Every Thursday night, I would get off work, I'd buy some dinner, and I'd come home and I'd watch the GGA tournament for a year and a half. That was my Thursday night. It was so great. But you're right, like, the Injustice 1 era feels kind of like the last. It feels like we had two, like, really pure eras, which was Mortal Kombat 9 and then Injustice. And things started changing around the time of MKX.
That's when, is that just trying to process my own thought right there, but that's when a lot of the money came in.
Yeah.
And that's when a lot of the attitude shifted in top players to, chasing the bag versus
going to play and be part of the community.
Yeah, exactly. And, we were content with third place getting $10, and, a few $100s isn't worth some people's times these days. And so it's hard to keep top players motivated right now, like currently in the community, because there is nothing official from NetherRealm. They stopped development on MK11. We don't know what's coming next at all.
Sure.
So we're in the biggest content lull as a whole, as a community.
Yeah. The pandemic doesn't help the content lull, for sure.
Yeah.
Man, fingers crossed for MK9 remaster. That's all I want, man. Just polish up that game, give it a nice coat of paint. Don't change anything else about how it plays.
Hey, there are a lot of people that want that too.
It'd be so easy for them to do. It'd be so profitable.
Ugh.
It'd be so easy to do. Fix the input bug. Fix the meter drain glitch.
Player one advantage.
Input
bug error.
Give
all the bugs. There's a lot of bugs in MK9.
Yeah. Give a little tuning to the top characters, and and just sell it at full price.
Yep, full price, $60. I don't care. Or you know what? Make it $20 and then add some skim packs that take 2 minutes to put together on that engine.
Because man, I tuned in. I didn't even know you guys were doing that tournament, and I was with some friends here at the house, and I just looked on Twitch and I saw Mr. Aquaman. I clicked it and I was like MK9. I was like, fuck my friends, you guys buy. And I just sat down and I just caught like the last couple matches, and just watching those, I just get so excited watching it because that game, dude, there's a purity to that game despite its fucking problems. There's something really pure about it. It's not very 50-50 focused. It's like you don't have half the cast with cancel tech. You don't have multiple fighting styles or swappable special moves. It just feels like a pure arcadey experience, which is what I love about that game.
It was magical, man. Being in that chat, especially for those last few matches. Luckily, I brought some other commentators on too, where even I just got to sit back and enjoy and spectate it, and I had the biggest smile on my face the whole time. And the energy in the chat was phenomenal. It was positive the entire time. And meanwhile, and I'll never forget this. It was on that day, it was on that Sunday where we had just wrapped up MK9. Everyone was feeling fantastic. And then hit end on the stream, and then multiple people are telling me Twitter's on fire right now. Everyone in the NRS communities going there was so much drama happening on Twitter, and I'm like, dude, fuck Twitter. We just had our own paradise. Here in this Mortal Kombat 9 event, and it was beautiful, and that's a reminder of what it should be about. I feel like
Injustice was the same way too. Like, it was just so fun watching those tournaments, and like there were so many interesting narratives in the Injustice time. You know, like the rise of certain characters. 16-bit with Catwoman always comes to mind. I mean, come on, like that was like the greatest story of all Injustice. But it was just so interesting. You had the Superman drama, and the big patch that came out that December that just like overhauled everything. It was such a fascinating game to watch. For me, like, I stopped playing it after about half a year, but I watched it all the way to the end. And I'll still watch it now. Dude, speaking of Injustice, like, that's what was so confusing about your name. Remember that? Where you played, you didn't play Aquaman, even though your name was Mr. Aquaman, you played Ares.
Yes.
And no one else played Ares. You played Ares. And so for the first year or so, you weren't really known as the commentator. You were known as the Ares player, but your name was Mr. Aquaman. It was so confusing.
You know, I still to this day get some shit for that from some of the older guys. And yeah, I had the name Mr. Aquaman before Injustice ever came out. Okay. It was my first MK9 event was an event in Virginia called Flawless Victory. The entire VSM crew showed up, so it was pretty freaking stacked.
Yeah.
It was disgusting. I think it had Kevo and Super Bowl, CD Junior, Rio, had Maxter. I think it had CD Senior, and that was just like VSM coming down.
Man, you're making me nostalgic.
It was disgusting. Revolver was there. I think he traveled all the way. I think he was in Cali at the time. I don't know, but he came far as fuck for it, and ended up being my second round opponent. That's where I met him. Was at my first tournament. So shouts to Revolver and fuck Katana.
Down one cutter, baby.
Yeah, down one cutter. So man, those were some wonderful times and eras in the community.
What's your sticking with MK? What do you want to see in future NRS titles, whether it's MK or Injustice or something else? Or would you like to see any returning mechanics or themes or art styles? What are you looking for? What are you hoping for?
If it's so in a perfect world, you know. For me personally, because every single person is going to be different. Every single person's want is going to be different. But I feel like there have been universal vocalizations from players and casual players, competitive players alike, where they see kind of the general, what MK9 was about, what MKX was about, what MK11's about. And I think if you sprinkle the bacon bits of a little bit of what everyone enjoyed from all three, you might have close to what could be the perfect Mortal Kombat game, which essentially would be very close to just MK9 with some, tweaks here and there. I think that Mortal Kombat 9 with a more flushed out, hitbox, hurtbox situation, clean up the frames, but that style of game that has dash cancel,
dash cancel, yeah, I gotta miss it.
Run is the classic for retro Mortal Kombat, but for current competitive Mortal Kombat, I feel like dash canceling is kind of the way to approach it.
It made the game feel so unique. Its movement really set it apart from other games. It's just you moved a little differently in it, and I really missed that. I know that you can like do some kind of dash canceling in MK11, but it's just not the same, man. It really isn't. I'm hoping for the elimination of different styles.
Yeah, variations.
Yeah. Because man, learning matchups against 30 different characters is hard enough. But having to think about 3 different versions of every character, I found it exhausting.
Nightmare to lab in. MKX was the last game I took seriously as a competitor, and it's the roster times 3, which was like 90 something matchups or like 100 matchups to learn.
Yeah, I can't. It's so exhausting. It really is. Okay, here's something I brought up to other players before, and eventually when I do an MK9 video on my channel, I will talk about this. I want them to get rid of the meter burn system. I want to go back to classic EX inputs. You use the meter or you don't use the meter, because I'm tired of the mix-up game of someone does a special move, you block it, but they might burn the meter and make it safe, or they might not.
Oh, dude,
I'm so tired of it. I'm so fucking tired of it.
I did too. I'm like, so they just got away with murder, but essentially for free, because I'm an old man and I can't react to them not, amplifying it.
It turns so many situations
into a mix-up. Can we go back to calling it EX? How about that? Can we go back to calling it one thing, not EX amplified and meter burn? Yeah, there've been 3. Wait, I think there's been a 4th.
Yeah,
but that's a lot. Come on.
Yeah,
let's just call it one thing.
Just the EX moves, like Scorpion teleport. It's either a teleport or it's an EX teleport.
Or it's an EX teleport.
It's not a teleport, and then he could possibly meter burn it at any of 3 different moments. I'm so tired of it. Like, commit or don't. That's one of the things I miss about MK9 is that kind of purity to it, and everything after that has felt like everyone's got all these crazy mix-ups when I feel like they shouldn't. Yeah,
I agree. Something else I'd like to see. And MK9 kind of had what felt like, aside from the OTGs and the resets, the juggle system felt perfect as well.
Yeah.
MKX's was also phenomenal.
Yeah, it was fun.
But yeah, so I think that a more juggle heavy game is what everyone would enjoy. You're right with the complete characters. In MK9, every character felt complete, had a lot of different moves. Didn't have to worry about anything else. You selected your character, you went in. And it's really fun playing characters that have a really deep toolkit in that game. Look at Scarlet, look at Cobalt, look at Freddy. God, Freddy's got 4,000 things and they're all stupid. But it was fun because you had so many things to do. And even myself as a Rain player, comparing MK9 Rain to MK11 Rain, it's night and day. It is a night and day difference. Just having the ability to be creative with stuff, to have all of those special moves available. It's a different fighting game. But I do like the normals in Mortal Kombat 11, or the normals and strings. I liked the pace of MK11 a lot. MK9, I think what set it apart pace wise was the special moves, but also I haven't compared the screen size, but it feels like MK11 is just a little bit bigger.
Yeah,
screen wise in comparison to MK9, and I like the smaller
me too.
screens. So MKX, MK9, those smaller screens. That's why I really didn't like Injustice 2 because I felt like the screen was just way too big. And Injustice 1 was kind of similar, but that character or there was so much broken stuff that it never mattered. I feel like in Injustice 1. But Injustice 2 was so solid. It's like the most fundamentally solid game I think they've ever put out. But the screen is just you have to dash 7 times to get in on someone, and
there's so much space, and at the
much.
same time you're moving slow. It's just
Yeah, you're moving slow, dashes are slow, walk speed's slow. Everyone's got a projectile that fucks you. Like, damn it. Let me in. Let me in. That's what I felt like playing Injustice 2 the entire time. Let me in.
Yeah.
And in Mortal Kombat 9 you're a couple dash,
a couple dashes away.
Yeah, you're like 2 dashes from someone. That's like perfect for especially a dash cancel game. But something I know it just sounds like I want MK9 remastered, which is
Well, I mean, you do
that's a recurring theme. Hey, that's a recurring theme here. I want to see what they did in MKX again. To this day, Mayo, I don't understand why they put a skin in the game to fund esports, and it did that, and they stopped it.
What do you mean?
They dropped the blue steel skin for Scorpion in Mortal Kombat X, and all of the proceeds went to funding the competitive circuit.
Okay.
And it did very well. And in Injustice 2, they brought that back a little bit with the tournament shaders, and then they didn't do it in MK11. And it's basically something that's cheaper for the developer to do than pay, a lot of money to have companies run an offline pro tour when they could just, out of pocket and out of the, what I assume is the marketing budget, or they can put one thing in the game and it pays for itself.
Wow.
And I want to see them do that a little bit more because that would be a good way to get, I feel like, a better competitive esport going for the community, something more sustainable, something, that just isn't people waiting around for a tour here, a tour there, and watching the money go down, because, but there's a lot that's probably going on behind the scenes that involves that. But that's something I want to see come back because that was really cool for the esports side of things, right? In the more modern era where everyone wants money, there's a good way to get it.
Speaking of like mechanics, you want to come back. How do you feel about this? I want to see a game that has universal air moves. Because remember, like in MK9, how everyone had the classic Mortal Kombat jump kick?
Yes.
And then starting in Injustice, everyone had like 3 different kinds of air attacks, and they were all unique to the characters.
Yeah, and everyone's NJP was different versus the same as well.
And like what was so great, again, about MK9 is that since everyone's jump attack was the same or at least very, very similar, you could master your anti-air jab.
Yeah.
That was, and it just, that combined with the fact that everyone's down 1 on hit was, or everyone's down 1 on block was negative like 13. Like those kinds of like those kind of mathematical certainties, and that with the anti-air, like everyone's anti-air kind of focuses. Like if you know how to anti-air one character's jump kick, you know how to anti-air everyone's jump kick, and like those kinds of things help eliminate aspects of randomness in a game that's pretty crazy, where you're dealing with armor and cancels and 5-hit attack strings that could stop at any moment. Those sort of like solid as a rock mechanics, they just help you not get overwhelmed by how much you're thinking about. Because I feel overwhelmed every time I'm playing the newer games because there's so much to think about.
Hurts my brain too, man, if I can be honest with you. But, dude, yeah, you're right. Especially with the pokes, the first time you do a down 1 and get punished for it in MK9, you learn really quickly not to do it as much as in like a later game, where
you can get away with it.
Yeah, you can get away with it, and depending on the character, you could really get away with it. Mm-hmm. Man, if you had a good down 1 special cancel, woo-wee, you could mash. But
man, dude, down 1 special cancel, like that's a really effective thing, and it's in any kind of game. You see people in Street Fighter doing down 1 specials, right? But since the Mortal Kombat community was kind of slow to start because we were like babies when MK9 came out, we didn't know what we were doing. Like I remember Big D was like a year into Mortal Kombat 9 was using Ermac, and he was blowing people up with the down one lift with Ermac.
Oh my, he still is, believe it or not. He was a commentator for that event I did a couple weeks ago, and he warmed up with the players, and he was hitting them with it.
Oh, dude, it's just
10
like
years later. 10 years later.
10 years later, hitting people with down one lift with Ermac, because you just don't like. That's not how we played MK9. When we played MK9, it was like people would do down one, and then you take your turn, unless you were fighting a katana player, and then they were doing down one cutter. But that's why down one cutter blew up so many people.
Yeah,
we weren't used to it.
Everyone wanted to counter poke. Everyone
wanted to do it, and then Injustice, now it's like down one special of the game.
Yeah,
right?
And I even saw that Forever King was playing in that tournament, and he did a lot, and I mean a lot, of down one glove with Freddy, and he got a 40% combo full screen frame trap. He did down one glove, and people just died. It's like, oh my god, I don't remember Freddy's doing that.
Dude, you know what? Like, because Quan Chi was my man, right? I still play the hell out of Mortal Kombat 9 Quan Chi, and a big part of like continuing to play Quan Chi over the years, as people level up, is you have to master down 3 close EX rune, because you have no defense, because Quan Chi's down 1 is 11 frames. And you don't have like a fast get off me special. He's got no armor or anything. So basically, someone's in your face. They do a string, and what you do down 3 EX rune. They're stunned, and then you go in for the block string or a mix up, like, or down 1 or down 4 EX rune. Like that kind of stuff started coming out in the later times of that game, but it wasn't there for a while because we were slow to start. And even though
it was a brand new community, it was a brand new, a lot of the people that came in were just new to fighting games, and we just created a competitive community out of thin air. Well,
we didn't know what frames were, or like people weren't even anti-airing for like half a year. It's just like I
was trying to counterpoke Sub-Zero's down 4. Yeah, don't try that in MK9.
Dude, I'm not a big fan of MK11. I love the way Devora plays in it, but I don't actually like the game that she's in, if that makes any sense. But
no, it makes sense.
MK11 did make me a better player, because when I go back and
it's
I play,
fundamentally super solid.
I was playing MK9 with a friend like half a year ago, just having some beers and playing. Is Cyrax versus Quan Chi, which is what we always do, and then he goes in. And he does like a block string, and then he goes for a grab, and I neutral duck the grab.
Oh, dude!
In MK9, I neutral duck Cyrax's grab, MK11. And I full combo, full rune trap punished him, and I was just like, yes, MK11, man.
Dude, the first time I went back to MKX, and the only person who ever did it in MKX all time was Foxy. Foxy's been doing it since MK9. Which was, the PND, purposeful neutral duck.
Yeah.
And I went back to MKX after MK11 came out, and someone microducked my stand 1-1 and punished me for it. And I went, what the fuck? I went, what in the fuck? You don't do this. You don't do that in this game.
No, that's like AI shit. Like when you play when you play the towers on extreme, that's when the AI just like finds a way to full combo interrupt an attack string. People aren't supposed to do that.
Yeah, and even the guy was like, "Oh my god, MK11 did make me a little bit better."
Yeah, it definitely did.
That's what I actually really enjoy MK11. I'm not a fan of Flawless Block. Has been like, I liked it at first, and then I slowly started hating it the more and more I played, because then I couldn't jail in my hit advantage
and the breakaway system is
fucked. I like breakaway because I play a character that takes it out of the equation.
Sure.
Luckily, for way too much damage. I'm disgusted. Pick Kotal Khan and break someone's armor.
Oh man.
It feels fantastic. And I'm like 50-50 on the meter system. I like the meter system, but I don't like the fatal blow coming back after.
I don't think anyone does.
Or like there should be a downside to using it, and the fact that there isn't is what is the biggest problem for it.
Well, you see, supers being tied to your meter is what made supers hype.
Yeah, Exactly.
because it was a fucking decision if you're gonna burn that thing or not. But now it's just like everyone has a super for
Yep.
free every single match. And I got really tired of seeing them. I got really tired of being scared of them
You should be
every time.
frightened of them. You should be petrified. And
Yeah,
that's and that's by design. And
yeah.
yeah, you're right. That's what a lot of people do not enjoy about MK11.
It makes me like I enjoy the stress of a fight, all right? But it's a kind of stress that makes me not really enjoy. It makes me feel like I'm just like overcoming an obstacle, and even when I win, I'm angry. That's when I had to stop.
That's I'm not gonna lie. That's me when I go back to Mortal Kombat X.
Yeah.
Because man, I'm through the roof. There's an infamous clip of me competing in MKX Twitch Rivals that happened not too long ago, and whew, my salty rant after I lost was it's pretty good. It was pretty good. I apologize for everything I said to poor Slayer.
Oh.
But
Slayer's been around a while.
yeah, but that's what I found, going back to all these games. I've been playing all 5 titles for the past couple of months now, and I hate something about all of them.
Yeah.
There's something that I can find that I do not like about every single one of them, and then there's stuff I find about all of them that I do like.
Definitely.
And that's kind of the beauty of it. But a completely different subject that ties into this is the fact that I think that if we want any kind of community to grow, we need a game that doesn't completely change every single game.
Yes.
Because that loses a lot of the player base every time that they do that. And it's not something that's really spoken about a lot, Mayo. Like, when they completely change mechanics of a game, a lot of players go, "Oh, that fucking sucks," and then they'd leave. And then there's only a few of us old people left.
Well, what's weird is that like the us oldies are. I mean, I'm not including myself when I'm saying that the old MK9 Injustice 1 generation, they're the ones running everything. Right? Whenever I watch commentary, I watch tournaments, like that's who I see. I those are the guys that have been stepping up, and because it's like it's in your blood, right? Like you can't let it go.
We really can't.
Yeah, because it was
the sad truth of that. Yeah,
we built an entire community together, like from like it existed before MK9, obviously, but like
yeah, 100%.
that community that built itself up in the MK9 days into Injustice 1, that was like a really just like crazy bond that everyone like people got to know each other without ever even speaking to each other. Hell, I'm talking to you. We've never even spoken. I've known who you are for 10 years now.
To this day, and when I saw your name in chat, I went, "Oh my fucking god!" Under the Mayos in there, just seeing those names, getting to hang out with all those MK9 guys, getting it. When I reached out to CD Junior and he responded, I almost cried. I was like, "There's no way," because he was one of the people that kind of got me into the more technical aspects of fighting games early on. Let me practice with him, gave a lot of encouragement, taught me what frame traps were. He did stuff to me with Jax that I don't want to talk about. And it was just great times, man. And you're right. It was just such a bonding experience. And do I feel like that's being, missed out on a little bit with this current age? A little bit, I think, for sure. And especially with no offlines, then it's really not happening. So I think that goes to show you or give you an explanation as to why the things they are right now.
Well, there's no central hub anymore. Everything's like Discord chats. Discord chats and Twitter. And like
it's scattered right now. Okay.
Yeah, but it's permanently scattered. There's no one's ever going to go back to a central location to read through all the character forums and talk and post and comment on the latest news thing and DM each other on there, and everyone listens to the same community podcast. Like those days are over.
Mm-hmm. They are. Everyone's in their own spectrum now. I like to think of it like, do you remember, have you ever seen Game of Thrones?
Yes, of course. I mean, now I have to say unfortunately, but yes, I loved Game of Thrones for a long time.
All right. Okay. Season 1. So yeah, good old days. Robert Baratheon, when he compared the Dothraki horde to the Seven Kingdoms, what's the bigger number, 7 or 1? The Dothraki 1 was test your might, and then now we're that divided 7 all over the place. And so that's kind of a good analogy for it, is that everyone's in their own Discord, they're on their own stream,
Yeah.
they're doing their own thing, and if you look wrong, you miss something on Twitter. If you look wrong, you miss something somewhere else.
Yeah.
And yeah, that does suck too. But Test Your Might also became crazy as well.
Oh, sure. I mean, it's not any one thing or any one person's fault.
It's the internet. The internet is just
it's the internet's fault.
Yeah. The internet's where humanity's really shown, and it kind of sucks.
A lot of players know you for Kotal Khan. What is it about him that draws you to the character?
Ooh, Kotal Khan.
He's cool.
I knew the moment I first saw him, like this, his first reveal, first image. I was like, "That's my main."
I was like that with Devora. The moment I saw her, I'm like,
Ooh.
I'm gonna learn her.
He clicked a lot of things for me, but oddly enough, what it was really early on was during his reveal trailer. I looked at his moves, and I was like, Ares has that, Ares has that, and it's like War God Kotal. Oh, Ares was the god of war, and so it was like the match made in heaven. He had Ares jump 1, and he had Ares back 1, which was Kotal Khan's forward 1 in Mortal Kombat X, and yeah, it just clicked day one. I think I started winning locals and regionals right out of the gate.
It's crazy how a character can click with you.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool that you picked him up partially because he had mechanics that reminded you of another character that you liked. I was that way with Catwoman. I wasn't really interested in playing her when Injustice came out. I went.
You just want to half screen jumping, don't you?
No, that was just
Catwoman, the 2 biggest jump normals in NRS history.
Total coincidence, man.
Coincidence.
It was. I picked up Green Lantern first, but then I started playing around with Catwoman, and I just felt like her attack strings. She just felt like the most MK9 character out of the bunch. Just the way that she played, like that jab cartwheel she had. And so I stuck with her because she felt kind of like an MK9 character. And then I fell in love with Devora with MKX. And so, of course, I played her with MK11. And I'm like, oh, wow, she's got Catwoman's whip. Hey, that's a nice coincidence, isn't it?
And people to this day get absolutely rocked by that.
Oh, it's good. So easy to anti-air, yet at the same time, you're going to get hit by it.
It is shockingly easy to anti-air if you have the balls and have experience anti-airing it.
Yeah.
But everyone holds it. But if you put out a normal, like I anti-air that thing so far away, I can't count combo because I anti-air at half screen. But if you put out a normal, it interacts with that hurt box like from unholy far away. It's really cool looking. Guys, if you're watching this and you play MK11, if you ever think to yourself that Devore's going to jump 1, just do a stand 1, do it super early, and watch what unfolds.
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
Oh, man. What are there any other games that you're... I mean, you say you're playing 5 of the NRS titles right now and 30 hours of commentary. I mean, do you have time to play anything else? Has any other game caught your attention this year?
I've gotten back into a game this year that this is my first time saying this kind of publicly, but looking at doing some events for it just because it would be fun to do and it'd be a cool passion project. But I don't know if you've ever heard of a game called Showdown.
No, I don't know it.
It's a battle royale / PvE horror survival game, and I know how that just sounded.
Yeah,
But follow me. I'm gonna explain it to you. 12 people drop onto a map. It's in the time period. It's in the Western time period. It's in the south of Americas, so it's mostly swampland and like farmland, and that's how the maps are kind of themed out. All of the weapons are from that era. All the skins are from that era, and there apparently a zombie apocalypse happened because there's zombies and creatures all over the map, roaming everywhere. Tons of different types of creatures and bosses that you have to kill. So in order to win, it's all single player. You have to get onto a map, find clues as to where the boss is, kill it, and then get off of the map alive. But there's other people that are also trying to do exactly that.
Okay.
And so there's zombies everywhere that you have to kill, and then you always have to be worried about other people. And it creates a very unique experience, and it's all about sound. The entire game is about sound, and the sound design is stellar. It's from the makers of Crysis.
Oh, all right. Damn, no, I don't know why I haven't heard of this.
Yeah, it's been out for a while, and it just started getting, like, it's been out for 3 years, and it just hit its max concurrent players, like, a week ago.
Oh,
like,
that's good.
It's like just hitting its peak popularity again. And it's just a game that I've always loved on the side and have always wanted to do because you in a game that's in a shooter like that that's really slow, the fights are really long and drawn out, and it's all about using the sound and positioning, movement, and it looks really fun to commentate, and then that's why I really want to do it. Or I practice commentating it when I'm playing it. And this is really cool because there's a lot of mind games, and mind games are what I like to get into when I commentate fighting games too, is try and get in mind of the player and be like, why the hell did he do that? And that why is something magical, you know? That's what fighting games are. Those constant rock paper scissors.
You ask
are
yourself
so fun in life.
Do you ask yourself that a lot when you fuck up in a fighting game? You say, why did I do that? There was no reason for me to do that.
Not anymore. And it was
okay.
Yeah. Because one of the things that I was taught early on, I had a really, really wise player at my local when I first got started, and he gave me this advice in MKX because he was a training partner at the time. But he's a really old school guy. He was winning virtual fighter tournaments in the 90s, like really, really old school. His name is Winback, and some people might know that name. He was pretty big on the SRK forums as a giant troll, but he was really good at the games. And he told me, like he started asking me every time I did something, why did I do it? And sometimes I would say, I don't know. And he goes, well, find out why, because if you always have an answer, then you'll notice a drastic shift in your gameplay. If you can tell yourself why you did something every time you do it, or always have a reason for every single button that you press, it'll make your gameplay better. And sure enough, I started to do that. Every time I would do something, I'd be like, this is why I'm doing it. And even if it doesn't work whatsoever, I could get fucking annihilated, but I'd be like, I was looking for this read.
Yeah.
And then mentally I'm good to go. You know, I don't get as distraught for being wrong in that situation, you know, throw my pad out the window, fucking punch a guy. No, I wouldn't do it. But it made it a lot easier to understand why I was losing, because I'd be like, oh, I was just wrong in that situation, and sometimes you're wrong.
Yeah. It's tough when you have like the plan. You're like, this plan is going to work, and
he's gonna do this, and I'm gonna fuck him for it,
and it doesn't happen, dude. I was
0-2 at the bar. He never did the thing I wanted him to do.
I was in the grand finals of a tournament once, like a local state one, and it was MKX. It was Quan Chi versus, I was playing Sorcerer Quan Chi, and my plan was I hit him in the corner, and I kind of came up with all that kind of like meter measurement stuff for MK9 Quan Chi, and that stuff's still in my head. Like, if I touch you, I look at your life bar, I look at my meter, and I'm already like calculating everything that I need to get you to the exact moment of death. And I touched him. I did the full damage combo, and I knew that I could get the restand, and I could go into the guaranteed what is it, like the 1-4-1 and then rune. And you remember old Quan Chi, he would get the EX rune, and it gave him like plus 14 frames guaranteed.
Yep.
Well, I knew that I did not have enough meter to get enough to burn the rune, and that I would get punished if I ended with the rune after the restand. But I knew that all I needed was a single blocked hit to gain enough meter to push me over the edge. So you're gonna have to tell me, Aquaman, this was a foolproof plan. All right.
Yeah, makes sense.
I do the combo, and I get the restand. And then after that, you have to. The guy's got to block, right? Because he's restand, and he doesn't have enough life to take a hit. because if he gets hit, he's gonna be dead. So he's gonna block. And so my plan was, okay, I'm gonna do just a quick down 3. I'm gonna do a quick down 3, which he'll block, and then I'll go into 1-4-1, and then I'll do the rune, and then the rune on block will put me over the edge, and then I'll burn it, and then he's locked, and then he's gonna die. But the guy was mashing. He was fucking mashing after the restand, and so my down 3 actually hit him.
Ooh.
And then I went into and I autopilot, right? You can't react that quickly to your thoughts. So I go into a 1-4-1 rune, burn, didn't have the meter, and then he full combo punished me, and I was devastated, and then I lost the next 2 games. Just like I was mentally crushed. I couldn't recover.
That is unfortunate.
It was
betting on your opponent blocking. Yeah, been there. Hurts.
Yeah, it's like
that's a stinger.
Like, why would you not block? Because if I hit you, you're gonna die. But no, he was mashing, and so I lost. I'm so pissed.
You know that. I'm on the other spectrum because I would have been that guy mashing because there's that mentality of you're plus, but are you gonna jail me or not? And that's always there. So like, even back in pre-patch MKX when Lau would do like his plus 24 hat.
I was fighting a Lau with that plus 24 hat, by the way.
Oh, goodness gracious. Sometimes you gotta disrespect it because people get a little too comfortable in their frame advantage.
And that's what I did. I did the down 3 to build the meter on block, and he was mashing. If I had just done the guaranteed 1-4-1 rune, he would have died.
It would have killed on hit.
It would have killed on hit.
There's a famous saying that we had, especially during those eras, especially MKX, but there's a saying, that's the mix.
That's the mix.
That's the mix. The mix isn't necessarily an overhead or a low. It's a situation, and you're either right or wrong. That's the mix.
There's another saying I heard once. I don't remember where I heard it, but it's a good idea beats a bad idea, a better idea beats a good idea, a great idea beats a better idea, the best idea beats a great idea, and the worst idea beats the best idea.
Hey.
Right? Because when someone just does that, the stupidest possible thing that they could do in a situation, that's the one thing that you're not ready for. And it's the one thing that's going to knock you on your ass.
And it's going to do the most mental damage possible.
Yeah. And it's the worst possible thing that could happen to you when you go in for that level 5, mind game where you're like, there's no way this is going to fail. Unless he literally drops the controller on the ground and starts stepping on it.
Listen, I've done a mid command grab 17 times in a row. Surely he's gonna jump and read it. Nope, he didn't. Cool, I lost. What?
Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ. What's your favorite Mortal Kombat fatality? Give me a
fatality.
Yeah, give me at least one. Give me 3 if you can.
Man, this is gonna be cheesy. One of my favorites is Baraka's in MK9 when he does the fucking helicopter spin on his blade.
Okay.
I don't know why I fucking love that one. He just puts you up there and he spins you and then he puts his other blade up and chops you up.
Yeah.
That's some good old fashioned fun. I really enjoy Gearus's in Mortal Kombat 11 when he peels you in half.
Yes, that's a good
in
one.
the wall of sand, and it's because it's a fatality that does its job in that it fucking creeps me out and makes me disgusted.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me uncomfortable every time I see it. I'm just like, and that to me is a good fatality. One that's got that kind of shock factor of that happens pretty quick. Man,
there's so many good ones.
Yeah. Fatalities aren't something that I usually keep in my memory bank an awful lot. But
remember MKX
I'm
when
going
Jack?
through them all.
Remember in MKX when Jax like breaks your head in half and then puts his cigar out on your tongue?
Oh, he does. Wasn't that called like the T-Rex or
something?
Yeah,
it was called the T-Rex.
It was called the T-Rex. That's so stupid.
Devora's in MK11,
Oh,
where she
hers,
impregnates you.
God, where she turns you into a baby. Yeah,
Oh man, that's
absolutely
so
not.
good. That is
Uh,
so good.
Devora in general is so well designed.
She's a fabulous character, very
God,
unique. You know what?
yeah,
Coming back to like what I like to see in MK, I would like to see a return to more fantastical creatures because I feel like MKX, starting in MKX, it felt like we were leaving more of the fantastical universe and focusing a lot more on the human characters.
yeah.
Remember?
The
Yeah.
Combat Kid era.
Yeah, remember when we were MKX wasn't out yet, and a lot of the roster had leaked, and we were waiting on like the last 6 characters or something to be revealed, and
Mhm.
and we're like, oh, who's it gonna be? People are like, maybe it's Havoc from Deception, maybe it's this person, and maybe Noob's gonna be there, and then it's just like, Jax and
Now here's four
Jax's
kids,
daughter and and Sonya, and it's like, oh, more just humans,
and then Sonya's daughter,
and so, oh, it's just like.
and then Kenshi's kid, or fuck it, whatever it
Yeah,
was.
yeah, Takeda, and like I want to see some monsters, man. Like Reptile is a
That being
cool
said,
character.
Devora, Ferrator, Kotal, they introduced some
Yeah,
really good characters in
totally,
X. Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely.
that
I
like
just want to see
I
a little
thought,
more,
yeah,
more collector style characters, and less Jackies and Cassies, I
well,
guess.
we'll see what they do because they pulled a classic and they completely undid everything that they did anyway when they reset the timeline.
Yeah,
So fuck it.
yeah,
And now they can do anything. They could they could focus in on a new character in a different part of the realm. They could zone in on any aspect with what Liu Kang and Katana now in charge of time, and I have no clue.
I'd like to see some kind of maybe a little more of a cartoony, fun art style. Because it's like
That would be interesting. Yeah.
I that's what I was kind of expecting because MK11 looks really good, but it does kind of continue the look and feel of MKX in a way. It just looks like it's a much more refined MKX and a little more colorful. When I was hoping, I was like, man, let's get wild with this. Maybe some cartoony or something arcadey style would be cool because I know Mortal Kombat is like realism. It started with actors being photographed and digitized, but is the future of Mortal Kombat just making it more and more and more realistic looking, or do they have the freedom to go into more crazy
Yeah,
artistic
that's a really good
routes?
question. Are they gonna continue that path? And it feels like they have. Being honest with you, I feel like the next game that they're working on, I feel like story mode's about to become a full third person fucking action game.
Yeah, you think so? Do you
Yeah.
know anything about it? Because I don't.
Oh no, I do not. I
No,
know
just
absolutely nothing
speculation.
about it. I'm just a wild speculator like everyone else.
Yeah.
But I feel like the amount of work that they put into the crypt in MK11 for no reason was them testing something like that, perhaps.
I just want to be able to open the crypt, scroll over to the tombstone, and spend the coins, and not run around with consumables.
It was its own game
Oh
for
my
no
God,
reason.
I was so
that's
tired of it.
that's what it felt like. That plus the story mode looking like a fucking movie.
Yeah.
Put two and two together. I feel like NetherRealm wants to do like a third person action game.
Why not? Well,
yeah.
do it. I mean, give us a Shaolin Monks too.
Similar to Shaolin Monks, exactly. So
I-
that could be coming, and then just have like a single player. Do you want to know what would be really cool? Follow me on this. Is if they pulled. Okay, so this is two separate ideas that are just for no reason. But what if they pulled like a Battlefield, and Battlefield has a launcher where you open it up, and every battlefield is on the left. You just which battlefield do you want to play? Okay, that's what I want to play. If you had all Mortal Kombats right there in one central location, that'd be fucking awesome. If they were all remastered, brought to rollback or something. Or the next game being something that's meant to last. Look at the most popular games in the world. Free to play, add shit. If it went to the free to play format, was constantly updated and just keeps getting characters added, and then have something that actually stays for a very long time, and you can have an infinite amount of content to add to it.
Does the Mortal Kombat player base want that? Because,
Yeah, I
dude, we
don't know.
have such a short attention span. A year into a game, we're like, all right, when's the next game coming out?
Yeah.
And I don't like. Yeah,
And
the biggest game.
also, NetherRealm Warner Brothers, they're used to getting in a fuck ton. I'm gonna get closer. I'm like a fuck ton of money
Yeah.
for Mortal Kombat in these games every 2 years. So if they put out something that's supposed to last 6 or 7, 6 years,
It's
where
got to
the-
be
you know,
really monetizable.
it has to be super monetized. Otherwise, they're gonna be like, okay, you could have just put out a new game every 2 years, and I'd have another fucking pool already. Come on, Ed.
Yeah, I mean, like, the dreaded term live service. I like that's what it would basically become, and
Yeah.
I don't want to see it. I was already kind of grossed out by all the store stuff in MK 11. Like the unlocking of everything and being able to buy
It's really complex.
credits. I was like, oof, oof.
I think
don't
that
know.
I think that they don't need a gear system. I don't think that they need anything like that. I did like the amount of outfits in MK11, but the way to unlock them was too complex. I unlocked the crypt 400 times and I didn't get everything I wanted.
Yeah.
400 times. Give me fucking little orbs. I wanted to reset those sons of bitches, but everyone feels that pain when it comes to that crypt. And yeah, there's a lot of things that they can refine for sure, but there's also an incredible player base that, I mean, the competitive community is not. It's not even 0.1% of the people playing or buying Mortal
That's
Kombat.
true.
So
That's very true. Most
a
of
lot of
it's people
people
who
seem to
buy
forget
it
that.
they buy it because they want to see the new fatalities. And
Yeah,
God bless them, man.
Scorpion.
That's how I started.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no judgment. No judgment there, man.
I want to see people die, and then that's it.
I mean, I was mashing and I was spamming special moves and uppercut and sweep until for I don't know, maybe 20 years until MK9. And I'm like, frames, what? Down one. Why would you ever do a low jab? Shouldn't you just uppercut?
Just uppercut.
Just
oh
uppercut,
man.
man.
Everyone's day one, down two. And then once they
God.
find that, they do that over and over again.
God, I used to have little parties at my house with MK9, and I had like a little team of 4 people, but we would also play with a bunch of roommates and stuff like that. Just pass the controllers around, 2v2, which they also need to bring back.
Oh yeah.
But there was this girl that, like, she was all right. She wasn't like us, like we were practicing a whole bunch, but she would just randomly pick Johnny Cage and mash X, and she was blowing us up. And we didn't know why.
Did she find forward X?
She accidentally stumbled upon Johnny Cage's forward knee.
4-3.
Yeah, which you can just basically be an idiot and randomly mash forward 3, down 3, down 3, forward 3, down 3, and blow people up.
You couldn't do shit, so more times than not.
And we were still in the first months of the game, so we're like learning our combos and trying to figure this stuff out, and we're like, stop! What are you doing? Why do I keep getting hit? Man.
Variable frame advantage, by the way.
Oh God, variable frame advantage.
Variable.
That's
There's a lot of variable in Mortal Kombat, even to date, with different distances of things, completely changing frame data.
It's the 3D models. That's why.
Exactly. Why does, like, they have... I think that there's a really good reason... This could be a blip. There's a really good reason that they don't show hitboxes in training mode. It's probably because they're fucking wonky as hell, and it feels like they're wonky as crap all the time in these games.
You get hit by, like, someone's knuckle, but like the one knuckle on their hand happens to extend like up to their hairline.
Yeah. Did you ever see a video where I think it was Injustice 2. It was either Injustice 2 or really early MK11. Someone put out a video where one thing worked on a character if she if she was at a certain point in her inhale or exhale.
Oh God,
that should not exist.
No, the hurt box should be like static, regardless of the animation.
It should be static. But in these games, they're called. I think they're literally called breathing hitboxes.
Breathing hitboxes. Yeah.
Which is just
they're like these terms, these fighting game terms that didn't exist before Mortal Kombat fuckery, right? Like I remember, like when
we had to create words for this.
We had to create the term "breathing hurtbox." You talk to like a Dragon Ball player, and they're like, "What's that?"
It means that if my opponent breathes differently the second time, I'm gonna win. And then they're like, "What? You paid money to enter that?"
But dude, there was I remember it was in the first couple months of the game of MK9 before Evo, when people discovered Cabal's forward 3-2 dash cancel. And I was watching that was like the brand new news, like holy shit, like people discovered the advantage on this thing. And it was an infinite. It was a block infinite, which like I guess like no one had ever heard of before, because I was watching the tournament commentary and Eris was on commentary, and someone was explaining to him what this Cabal player is doing. He's like, yeah, he's doing this attack string into the dash, he cancels it, and it's a block infinite. And Eris, and I distinctly remember Eris turning to me and saying, "What? A block infinite? What the hell is that?" Block infinite?
Have you ever been block infinite by Cabal?
Oh, come on, man. Who hasn't?
I got final patch block infinited by a hitbox Cabal player that did the stand 2 dash cancel infinite.
Oh, that's
because I played
tough.
a big hurtbox character. Furious.
Yeah.
But at the same time, his execution was so fucking good. I also wasn't angry. I was like, wow.
I got angry once in the grand finals of a tournament. I made it there with Quan Chi, because after a while, when I was playing other characters and I was doing well, I'm like, you know what, I'm going back to my boy, and I don't care if I win or lose. I'm just gonna play Quan now. In like the second or third year of MK9, and I made it to the grand finals, and I lost to Cabal, and I looked at the guy and I said, "Congratulations, you won with Cabal." I was like, "Congratulations, you beat Quan Chi with Cabal. I hope you feel good."
Oh, dude, I did the same thing in Injustice 1 when I ran into a Martian Manhunter player. I'm like, good shit. I'm like, this was me. I lost, and I went, good shit. You did a fucking teleport, and then I left. I went right to the bar.
Dude, yeah, same guy beat me the next year with Martian Manhunter against my Catwoman. God, I was so pissed. That's when I said, I'm done with this game.
What? I want to know how long the line of cocaine was that was snorted before Martian was created. I need to know how many kilometers that was to think of a safe, tracking, launching overhead teleport. I'm dying just thinking about it. Oh, do you hear this? Oh my god. Oh, I almost had a heart attack just now.
That shit was absurd. Oh, I mean, I guess it's the same drugs they were taking when they decided to launch Superman with a plus 27 frame breath into an advancing 8 frame mid.
That character, oh my goodness,
dude, booze.
I think I was the only one to travel in Injustice 1, spend hundreds of dollars to enter a tournament willingly against that character because Ares got block infinited even post patch by forward 2-3 breath. Block infinite still even post patch, and Ares was the only one. It was the weirdest thing. It was an Ares specific thing, and right after the patch, it was discovered And I was like, okay, cool. I just have to avoid a Superman player. And then the next tournament, I have KDZ fresh off his Evo victory in my fucking pool. Let me tell you.
I'm sure that
And,
went well.
and I got forward 2-3 breathed in the losers.
Jesus Christ.
Oh,
The stuff we've put up with, man.
guys, don't. If you're a modern player, think twice before complaining about how crazy some of these modern characters are when you haven't traveled and willingly accepted getting Blanc infinited as your as your path. It's
What are you doing this weekend, son?
not right.
I'm flying to Indiana to get Block Infinited.
I'm gonna go get fucked is what I'm about to go do, and not in a good way, Mom.
That's awesome, dude. Man, do you? I mean, we're in this fucking pandemic. Do you miss the concert scene? Are you much of a concert goer?
I just started becoming one when it started.
Man.
I had tickets for Rammstein. They were coming into town, and the concert got pushed 2 years in a row so far.
That sucks, man. That sucks.
Yep. Had some other tickets purchased as well, and the show started getting canceled. What got me into the music scene, crazy enough, Mayo, was competitive Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
I shit you not. Well, it kind of rejuvenated it, because for the Mortal Kombat Pro competition, Mortal Kombat 11, the first year, if you guys watched any of that, you'll know that Roadrunner Records sponsored
Yes.
it, which is a very big metal record label. And they took us to a Gojira concert during Evo, and fucking blew my mind. And I've been going to concerts since, but it's pretty crazy how, two of my favorite things kind of came together with that, and it rejuvenated my love for the concert scene too. And
That's awesome.
then I got fucked immediately by COVID.
That sucks, man. That sucks.
But I did get to cross something off of my bucket list right before COVID hit, which was the craziest coincidence. But I got to see Tool in concert right before it hit,
Nice. That's
which was
great.
which was on my bucket list, and now I can knock it off the bucket list.
I had an opportunity to see them on the Lateralis tour, but I missed it. I don't know why. I was a dumbass. But I was planning to see Slipknot the summer of last year, but that got canceled. I haven't seen them yet. I've seen most of my favorite bands. Well, I don't know most. I guess like my top favorite bands. I've all seen them. I've seen Nails. I've seen Manson. I've seen Rob Zombie. I've seen some of the lower bands on that tier. I got to see Garbage about a year and a half ago.
Hey.
Finally, that was pretty cool.
Didn't they do the World Is Not Enough
I don't think they
back
played
in the
that
early
song.
'90s?
Yeah, I mean that's their song, but I don't
Yeah.
think they played it at the show. I mean,
That's it. That's what I think of every single time I hear Garbage.
Yeah,
Is the freaking James Bond intro with the Bond girls and the?
that's a good. It's a good Bond song. It is.
Oh yeah,
she,
that's a good movie.
She
That's a
nailed
good
it.
movie.
Yeah,
Shouts to Pierce Brosnan.
yeah. Isn't there a new James Bond movie coming out really soon?
There is. It's Daniel Craig's fifth one, which is pretty crazy for. I thought they would have changed by now.
Yeah, it was his last one.
Good for him.
Yeah, he's probably how old is he now? He's got to be close, in the 60s now, right?
I don't know, but he looks good for whatever age he
Yeah,
is.
yeah, he's definitely.
That's a good looking dude.
Well, man, we're coming up on an hour and a half here, so this has been really cool to finally get to talk to you, to get to know the man behind the tournament scenes. It's really
Hell yeah.
You're doing a great job, man. Keep it up. Everything you're doing there. I saw you working with Big D and Katana Prime, and I know you keep up with Darth Arma. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep bringing new voices in. And keep that scene alive, because we're gonna need you when we're gonna need you on the front lines when the live tournaments come back.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and hit stop. You wanna pitch anything, your channels for the viewers
sure.
to go check you out,
Yeah, sure.
or in any upcoming events?
Yeah, absolutely. You want me to go and start?
Yeah.
So you guys can follow me primarily on Twitter at Mr. Aquaman. It's spelled out Mister Aquaman. And I live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Mr. Aquaman, MR Aquaman. And you can find me there playing Mortal Kombat, having a good time, but also that's where I host my events. And my event series is called The Coliseum. And as of right now, we're still in between series. We just wrapped up the Coliseum Rewind, which was all 5 NetherRealm titles competitively. And with Injustice 1 and Mortal Kombat 9 working really well, a lot of people want to see more. So I'm currently right now working on some more Mortal Kombat 9, some more Injustice 1 stuff for people. I'm just kind of thinking of how I want to do it. And then soon on Twitter, you'll see me announce whatever the next series is, and it'll be something a little bit longer and more enjoyable so that we can just, have some positive times together. And follow me on Twitter, look for it there, YouTube, everywhere else, the Coliseum, and Mr. Aquaman. That's where you guys can find me.
Great, thanks a lot, everyone. We will see you next time, and goodbye.